Welcome to Pastor's Chat today. Well, we're looking at Revelation chapter 13. Remember, from chapters 10 through 14, we're somewhat in the middle of the tribulation, some of it looking back and giving more details of the first 3.5 years, and of course now looking forward at the last 3.5 years of the tribulation. Satan in chapter 12 was cast out of heaven in that war with Michael there, and now he's come down to the earth. And so he begins the tribulation on a white horse. Remember that first seal that was opened? And he has his Antichrist, his personage, whoever it is, make peace with Israel. Starts off the 7-year tribulation period. And so for a period of time, the world who's crying for peace has peace because of this Antichrist, because of this person. You know, if Satan showed up today, he would not show up with a red suit on and a pitchfork in his hand and a forked tail and horns, my friend. He would show up at the most suave, neat, kind, gracious looking, handsome looking person that you've ever seen in your life, because he is a deceiver. He is a deceiver. He wants you to think that he is nice and kind and good and has wonderful things for you, but he is a thief. He's a liar. He is a murderer. Read John chapter 8 verse 44. Jesus told who he was specifically. Now, as he shows up now, it's interesting because he comes to the earth in great wrath. We see even this Antichrist is going to give, in verse 7, it's granted to him to make war with the saints and overcome them. He's given authority over every tribe, nation, and tongue. And so we see that this beast, and it's interesting that these two personages that show up in chapter 13 after Satan is cast out, we're looking at this unholy trinity. We're looking at Satan, who is the power, who is behind all of this stuff that goes on, and he has a beast called the Antichrist, and then he has one who is called the false prophet, the unholy trinity. And of course he empowers both of them, and he's behind the authority of both of them, it says in this passage here, as you notice. And then we see when he shows up in verse 1, he stands on the sand of the sea. Why? Because he's been cast out of heaven. He's looking over the nations, and he is ready to bring havoc on the earth himself, because he has been thrown out of heaven, and he has no more access to God, has no more access to accuse the brethren, and he knows that his time is short. Now, this beast that rises up out of the sea, we believe to be the Antichrist. Boy, there's been so much speculation as to the Antichrist would be. When I was in high school and the preachers were preaching about the end times because of the 7-day war in Israel, and I'm telling you, we knew Jesus was coming back in 1969. I'll never forget that, 68, 69, 70. The great prophetic preachers, Dr. Jack Van Impe and others, and there was so much speculation. Kissinger, we thought Kissinger was the Antichrist. I'll never forget it, that he is going to be revealed as the Antichrist. And if you read Oliver B. Green's book on 2 Thessalonians, his commentary, Oliver B. Green, who's a great evangelist, great preacher, God used in a wonderful way, he's convinced that the Antichrist is Judas restored from the dead. He's brought back from, he's the son of perdition. And man, he gives so many verses and so many thoughts, you almost think that he's for sure Judas come back from the dead. But you know what? It really doesn't matter if we can identify a specific person who he is. The fact is, he will show up. He is empowered by Satan, and he comes up out, it says, out of the sea. There's a beast rising up out of the sea, and he has this authority, and on his head's a blasphemous name. Now, he's like a leper, and he was like a leopard. His feet were like the feet of a bear, his mouth like the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power, his throne, and his authority, his great authority. And we believe this is a reference to the world kingdoms that Daniel saw back in Daniel chapter 7. And he saw first the great kingdom of Babylon, the head of gold. You remember back in chapter 2 of Daniel, he saw the bear, he saw of course, these different kingdoms, these different animals represented these different kingdoms back then. He sees them in reverse order here. So it's the Babylonian kingdom, it's the Medo-Persian kingdom, kingdom, and it's the Grecian kingdom, and now it's the revived Roman Empire. The Roman kingdom was the fourth kingdom that he saw, but now it's revived. And we believe that this beast comes back to be the head over a 10-nation confederation of Europe to begin with. So a lot of interesting things here, and we'll continue with it tomorrow. But God bless you, and you have a wonderful, wonderful day.